Hello everybody, Dave here, and it's the day after I put some of the outdoor varnish on to my plaques, I suppose to be called, and with them needing 8 hours between layers, it's probably actually been about 24 hours. I was hoping to try and get a layer on these, a coat on these this morning, but I've ended up having a slightly unusually busy day. I've been out and done a bit of food shopping, which I hadn't done for about 3 weeks. Not a big shop anyway, because after getting a slow cooker I was getting a lot of fresh stuff. So I've been and done some food shopping, been and sorted some stuff out for my little brother's apartment, which wasn't taxing, it was just time consuming. So yeah, so I could have snuck a coat on these this morning, but I needed to focus on getting those other things done. So what I'm going to do now is, because these have had one coat, and as you'll see, this is quite nice and shiny. Now, for all I know, my folks aren't going to like it nice and shiny, and one thing I will say is 2 of these go on their garden gate, and it's going to make the garden gate look shit, but I'm okay with that, because, to be honest, I'm okay with how this is looking. I mean, that's only had the one coat of varnish on it, and yeah, and even on this, where it still might not be absolutely perfect, but it's doing the job. So what I need to do now is, because if you remember I mentioned yesterday that this stuff says put 3 coats on untreated wood and 2 coats on treated wood. Right. So basically what I've decided that I would do is put 2 coats on the front faces where it's had the resin on it, and 3 on the rest. So what I'm actually going to do now today is, because these have already had one full coat, I'm now going to do a second coat, but just on the backs and the sides and the edges of these, not on the front face. Then that will leave me with 1 complete coating left to do. So that's what I'm going to do now. I mean, once I apply this, I'm not going to get any more of it done tonight, because again, it's going to need 8 hours to dry, which I thought was a bit excessive, and well, it is a bit excessive, but I was checking them last night, and yeah, they were still tacky after 2, 3, 4 hours. So I mean, I can only guess that it takes so much longer, because whatever chemicals are in it need time to work, because this is outdoor stuff. So but anyway, we shall see how we get on. So now I have bought myself some more paintbrushes, but I'm not going to use them for this. And the paintbrushes was more for potentially the table, maybe, but also I found it very useful. For example, resin doesn't spread with a sponge. Now it might with a foam brush, of which I have ordered, and they weren't due to arrive for a couple of days, but they would appear that they have already come. So anyway, yeah, so I've got the foam brushes, and we'll see how they get on, but I'm going to stick with sponge for these, even though this stuff is quite sort of thick and sticky, and the sponge did struggle a little bit yesterday on the front face. I think I just need to get on with it, really, be a bit liberal with it maybe. I don't want to go putting too much on, so I don't want it dripping all over the place. so there's not loads built up in the sponge, but because it takes so long to dry, I do need to be careful of applying too much because it can drip a lot. I mean, unfortunately, I did yesterday sort of stand these up on end to reduce the contact patch with my wood on here, and on one of them I would appear to have had a bit of drippage, which is a little bit frustrating, but it's not the be all and end all. But yeah, it's definitely very different stuff to what I'm used to. I'm used to working with stuff that's very thin and pliable, and you put it on and it soaks in and you can spread it easy, and this is definitely very, this is more like playing with glue. It's very tacky, very thick. But at the same time, it takes a long time to dry. Right, I'll get this one done. I've done quite a bit there. As I say quite a bit, I don't know with this stuff how much is quite a bit. Also, today's temperatures are through the roof again. I mean, yesterday we were forecast to have rain and thunderstorms today, lightning today. We had a fantastic lightning show last night, but no real thunderstorms, no thunder. And it didn't really hit here, so there was no rain. And whatever storms hit last night basically just sent all of today's weather in a different direction, because instead of today being wet and stormy, it's absolutely clear and fucking baking. And when I checked earlier, I think it was 32 degrees out there, which for me is too hot for me. But what that does do is it could have an effect on how things like this behave. Now what I might do with this as well is, once this layer has completely dried, then I'll probably go over these and give them a light sanding before the final coat, which is what I would normally kind of do. Now I know you can see markings on here, and to be fair, I could have sanded these down to perfect clean, but that's not what they're about. Okay, I'm going to stop the video there while I do the other two that are a little more private, and yeah, we'll see how these get on when they dry, and we can get that final coat on. See you in a bit. Hello everybody. Right, I'm literally about to head out, and then I remembered that I hadn't done the final video piece on these, because I have now finished these, and I've got to say I'm liking how they're looking. That's the side that's had resin on, that side hasn't, but that side has had a few coats of exterior varnish, which I've got to say I really like how it's made that look, and that should now be protected. So yeah, very happy with how it's ended up looking. This one I'm still not overly pleased with, but lesson learned, and it looks better than it did before I started, and that's kind of one of my mantras with the stuff that I'm learning. Does it look better than before I started? The answer is yes, because at least now you can read that hopefully quite easily. Now I know my dad isn't overly keen on shiny wood. Personally I am. So I don't know how he'll react to this, but with this one specifically, I wanted this to stand out so that people close their fucking gate so the dogs can't fucking get out. Even though I've put an interior door bracket on it which should close it automatically, there's always the possibility that that's not going to work. But at least with that, hopefully anyone approaching the gate is going to fucking see that. Thinking about it, it should actually say, there should be another one that says close the fucking gate. Maybe it should be, beware free range children and dogs, close the gate if you don't want to get bit, because children bite too. Anyway, right, I am literally heading out now, as I said, and I'm going to be fitting these today, or at least hopefully I am. That's part of today's plan. So I am going to fuck off and get that done. So that's that little sort of resin project completed with a lot of things learned. Right, see you in a bit.